Productions, the Cultural Preservation Station. Tune in. Tune in. Hey yo. Black education, cultural preservation, Taylor BTV, because elevation. Tune into the station, we rockin' the whole nation. That's right, we rockin' the whole nation, prepping new generation for mental activation. Taylor BTV's the new sensation. Stop the hesitation and learn something new. My girl Taylor B's here to show and prove.
Peace and love. Peace and love. Welcome back to Cultural Reflections, the podcast where we illuminate the positive reflections in our culture and in our community. I am your host, Queen B, the cultural preservationist, guiding you to the people behind the stories and experiences of our empowerment, resilience, and elevation. At BTV, we emphasize Black education empowers true vision. And through our platform, we love to bring you the voices and experience that shape the positive aspects of our cultural landscape. So I am so excited today because we have a great guest for you guys today, in our highly anticipated season 2, episode 7. How fitting! How fitting! I'm going to get into those numbers later. Going to get into that 2 and 7 later. But our highly anticipated season 2, episode 7 premiere, we're honored to welcome a beacon of transformation and empowerment, Christopher Brown. He has been on a very spiritual journey, if you will, through adversity that has led him not only to authoring a compelling book titled Hidden in the Shadows, but also emerging as a successful entrepreneur. So we're so excited to welcome Chris to the stage. I'm going to get him on here in 1 second and welcome him to the show. Here we go. There you go. Chris, let me get you off mute. Can you hear me, Chris? Welcome to
Yes, I
BTV.
can. Hello,
Great.
hello. How are
Thank you so
you?
much. Peace. How you doing,
Mm.
King?
I'm good. I'm good. How you doing, Queen?
I'm doing so well, and I'm so excited to have you on the show today. So you have such an empowering story. It's incredibly inspiring. Rising from challenging past to become director of operations at the Iconic Properties, a company that's focused on landscape and landscape design, illustrating significant resilience and determination in your journey, Chris. I know that Iconic Properties was founded in 2015, and it has flourished under your leadership. Your background, coming from 13 and a half years of being in prison for robbery and theft. You were released in 2014, but you refused to let that define you. You channeled your ambition and your determination into building a successful career in business. And in addition to your role in the company, you've also published and authored your debut novel, Hidden in the Shadows, that showcases your creativity and distinctive perspectives. I'm so happy to welcome you to the show. That is quite a bio, young man. So thank you so much for being here. And anything that you have to say right off the bat, and then we'll get right into it.
Absolutely. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be working with you. I see all of the hard work you put into this and all of the fruits of your labor. And I've wanted to be with this, to get involved with this for a little while. And I was grateful, that you extended the olive branch, so to speak, to me. And I'm glad to be here.
Well, I'm glad to have you here. Obviously, we people don't know, but we do have a history. Chris and
Hmm.
I grew up together. We went to high school together. Probably maybe middle school too. I'm not sure. Did we go to
Yeah.
middle school? Did you were you at
Yeah.
yeah, middle school and high
Yeah.
school. So we've known each other
Hmm.
probably a great portion of our lives. And I'm just so, I'm excited to have him here and have him talk about his journey, in hopes that it can inspire others and help others on their path if they're somewhere stuck in that journey. So I just want to thank you for being here. It's a pleasure to have you on BTV, Black Education Empowers True Vision, Cultural Reflections, episode 2, season 2, episode 7. And what I wanted to really say about that before we even get started is, it's so funny how our vibrations on our frequencies work in a universe. I am actually a 2 person, and Chris and 2 and 7 are the moon numbers. They're attached to each other in numerology. So it's so fitting that this is my season 2 of Cultural Reflections, and Chris is on here and it's episode 7. And Chris is a 7 person. He's born on the 16th of April. He's an Aries 7, a fire sign with a water number. And we'll get into that later if he lets me. If he's so if he lets me, I'll get into that with him later. But I just wanted to thank him. And Chris, I want you to go ahead and get started. Let's get started. Tell us a little bit about your history. So tell us where you're from. Tell us a little bit about your background and how did your environment growing up impact your journey looking back?
So I was born in Philadelphia. My mom and dad, subsequently divorced, and I was raised between Philadelphia and the main line. And I guess I had humble beginnings, like a lot of people. My parents weren't rich, but they were, educated individuals. And up until a certain point, I grew up in a two-parent household, and you know, was raised by later on by a single mom. And like you said, we met on the main line. We went to school together, and kind of life went from there.
Yes, life does go from there, and I'll say growing up on the main line, like I'm grateful for where we grew up, and the experiences that we had there. I think I mean, I don't, you obviously it didn't prepare you for everything, but it does prepare you for a certain perspective, about when you get to a certain age and you're dealing with certain energies in the world, that you may not know why they're like that, but growing up where we grew up, we kind of got a firsthand taste of that growing up, so we kind of know
Yes,
firsthand microaggressions and different things from different cultures and communities. So it's just something to point out that it does show a difference, in the way that people kind of sometimes play things out in their life. But let's get into your story. So, what inspired you to write the story "Hidden in the Shadows"? And how has that process of writing and publishing this book impacted your journey? And here goes his book. Let me see if I can get it in here without it looking crazy. It's kinda dark, so maybe not. Let me see. But I'm gonna
yes, it
pull it
does
up.
stay
Oh, there
there.
we go. You can kinda see it now, right?
Yeah,
And then I'll pull
yeah.
it up later too. I'll pull it up later on Amazon. But let me repeat this question because 'cause I'm probably running here. What inspired you to write this story, Hidden in the Shadows? Go ahead with that first, and then we'll follow up.
So, Hidden in the Shadows really not only is it a crime drama. I don't want to say a hood novel, but it's really a story about redemption. It's a story about you falling down, a person falling down or people falling down, and the ability to reach down and pull yourself up, with faith and good guidance. Everybody has that ability to pull themselves up to a certain extent.
And I think, just from your answer right there, the follow-up question is to that is, how has that process of writing and publishing the book impacted your journey? It sounds like your journey impacted the writing and publishing of the book. Is that the way it went more?
Absolutely,
Mhm.
absolutely.
Talk about that.
So
Mhm.
honestly, my brother who is watching this, he would laugh. I had been talking about writing a book for a very long time, and he kept pressuring me. And one day I just sat down, and the next day I saw him. I literally handed him 6 chapters. So my story, like you alluded to earlier, I was incarcerated for close to 13 years, and the story of redemption. It's not really necessarily mirrored in the book per se. I didn't take this story from my journey, but it's tokenized, if you will, from some of the things that I've been through. So again, when you asked how has it impacted the writing and publishing, more or less just my experiences being able to see myself in the character, in the main character of Christian Allen, who found himself in some trouble with him and his friends. And later, I don't want to tell too much of the story, but later had to find his way out of that trouble, not only using his brain, but through, those that were around him, his team. And again, just making the best out of what he had.
Absolutely. I think that's very powerful. And again, it really does sound like, even though it's not directly mirrored after your journey, but it does sound like the journey that you went through helped to inspire your creativity to be able to pull that type of stuff out and be able to write this crime drama, which I love crime dramas. I haven't had a chance to read the book yet. But I
Mhm.
do like the way it's formatted. So it looks like it'd be a quick read, so I'm gonna go ahead and dive into that soon, but I did read the synopsis and I love it. I think it's very creative, from what I hear so far. So as
Mhm.
someone who has walked through the shadows of adversity, how do you find the strength and resilience to turn your life around and become an entrepreneur?
Oh, that's easy. Just looking at the pillars in the community, the lights, so to speak, because there's a lot of darkness, there's a lot of negativity everywhere. And as long as you're grounded, as long as you have faith in whatever you believe, I believe that us as human beings, we can find the resilience and the strength to again pull yourself up or pull from that strength, that power, to force yourself forward, to push yourself forward.
That's dope. That's dope. So your work has often touched on various cultural themes and societal issues. Can you share some of the major cultural influences and how they've shaped your perspective and your creative output?
Sure. I would say with the first three books that I've worked on, you have the first. The subsequent two will soon be released. I would say they've helped shape my mind in an aspect where anything is possible. Just going back and learning our history, especially as Black Americans, learning some of the stalwarts, if you will, and understanding that what they had to deal with was 1,000 times worse than what we've ever had to deal with. Um, Again, I believe anything is possible. One of the key members in my camp, we belong. That's his statement. We belong. We belong anywhere and everywhere. Whatever you put your mind to, you can actually do. I truly believe that.
I love that so much, Chris. Very insightful. I would expect nothing less from a seven person. So let's talk about your artistic journey. What are some of the key moments or turning points that significantly impacted your career, and how you approach your work? I know, obviously, we know about the 13 and a half years. What are some of the other things that impact your artistic journey?
Um, a lot of pain, and I'll say it that way. I'll preempt that way. The passing of one of the most important peoples in my life, my grandmother, and that really was a turning point in my life. Um, Sitting in prison, not being able to attend the funeral or the memorial, uh, and you have a decision to make. That's kind of what shook me and woke me up. That's kind of what shook me to my core. Either I'm going to be the man that my parents and my people expect me to be, or I'm going to continue to be a failure. And losing her really, solidified in me the want to do better, the need to be better, the absolute drive to be the best at whatever it is I set my mind to it.
I think that's beautiful. So did your grandmother, you're really close to her? Did she help raise you? Um, mhm,
Yeah, yeah, she was a key, figure in raising me. Like I said, my mom and dad separated, when I was kind of young. I was maybe 6 or 7.
mhm.
So,
And it's
I
often the
was,
grandparents that come in and step in and kinda take up that slack of,
yeah.
where one of the parents, not saying that happened with your parents, but where, they pick up the slack because now it's no longer a 2 parent household, and even if you're going back and forth, that one parent still needs, they need help. And, that's the whole thing with our culture. The family unit is missing. I think that's one of the big keys to our culture,
Hmm.
is getting our family unit back intact. The man and the woman being in the household with the child and raising them up.
Yes.
So oftentimes the grandparents are key components in that, especially to Now with a lot of um, kids having the children younger and younger, you need those grandparents to step in because the person that's having a child is too young to even teach the child anything. So,
Facts.
I think that's super important, and I'm glad to hear that, that impacted your life, and that's often the story of a lot of, our Black men too, that they're often incarcerated and they miss chunks of their life where, they miss funerals or they miss weddings or they miss, important events that go on in our lives for important people that we really care about. So, kudos to you for channeling that pain, and that experience of not being able to be there for your grandmother into your work. A lot of people often, can't channel that pain, and transmute that into a positive, type of creative outcome. So that's really kudos to you, and it shows, strength in your ability to really focus in and do the right thing.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Like I
Mhm,
said before, there was two options: either stay
mhm.
the way I was, which was a broken man in and out of jail, or become the best. Make my ancestors proud. Make that woman that had a key aspect in raising me. Make the change for her. So I chose the latter.
Right. That's dope. That's dope. So, in your experience, Chris, what role do you believe storytelling plays, in empowering individuals and communities, particularly those who have faced struggles maybe similar to yours?
It's an outlet. It gives any individual a channel to tell their story. And I think a lot of us, especially in our community, we don't have that outlet. We don't have the freedom to completely, unabatedly, unjudgmental, if you will, unjudged. I'll say it that way. I made up a word.
That's okay. I
Unjudged.
make up words all the time here. I'm the acronym queen.
Okay. So unjudged.
Hmm.
Be able to tell their story, and the way from their perspective, the way they see it. And I think that's major, especially in today's landscape where everything is under a microscope, everything is hypersensitive, and being able to sit down and literally write this novel for me, was a very impactful moment in my life, because I started writing this during the time of, if you remember, what some would call the most recent riots. Okay, Trump was in office, and there was a lot of police brutality, and a lot of people were, on edge. And I said, look, let me really harness down and just focus everything I have into this book. And out came this book.
So you birthed a very creative baby. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. I
Yes,
mean,
I
so to
did.
speak, so to speak. And I
Yeah.
also think it's important to follow up on that concept. It's important because you having that creative outlet and based on your experience and all that, a lot of us don't have that representation in any type of like mainstream media. So it's up to us. It's up to us to write our own stories. It's up to us to share our experiences and show other people that have gone through that. Hey, it's okay because it's a normal thing. We're human. And this is kind of the things that we have to deal with to face adversity to make ourselves stronger. So I think it's really a kudos to you, and it's a testament to show how you can generate that type of creative output. That's really a testament, and it'll help other people. Show other people the way, even if they don't choose it. It's the seed that's being planted. So it's a good thing. It's a good thing.
Facts. Facts. Well, look where I am right now today. I'm on your channel, another creative,
That's
and you
right.
took an idea, you picked it up and ran with it, and here you are, and here I am, and here we're telling both of our stories at the same time.
And here it is that it's so fitting that I'm a two person and 2 and 7 are connected and you're a 7 person. So we have two key numbers in common. I'm the 2 to 7 and yours is the 7 and 2 in that order for each of us respectively. So that makes it even greater to me that we're coming together like this. So I really
Yeah,
just appreciate it all of the nuances that we're talking about here.
yeah.
So your work, it often bridges different disciplines of culture. How do you navigate and integrate these diverse elements into a cohesive narrative? And are there any challenges or rewards you would like to share about that?
Wow, that's a good question. It's difficult. Um, and again, I kind of touched on it earlier with, the way our community is right now, how everything is hypersensitive. And I kind of challenge the artistic side of myself into basically any and everything I do. My Iconic Properties is not only a landscape design company, but we're trying to branch off into real estate investment. Not only that, we hire, underprivileged individuals. I've even met with some resistance, tried to hire, ex-cons, ex-felons to give them not only some pride coming home, you have a job, you have a paycheck coming in, a steady paycheck, a job you can be proud of, but to give back to the community. Um, because while I was taking off, branching off in the conversation, while I was doing my dirt, uh, when you're young, you don't realize that doing dirt really affects the community and it affects the community in an adverse way. Now that I'm older, I'm a little wiser. I want to give back. I want to do the opposite of what I did, when I was wilding out.
Absolutely. That's a beautiful answer to that question. Um, and that's what it's all about. That's what we're here to do. We're here to, share our creativity and show and prove in that way. So you've really, you've gotten it together. I think the landscaping business is cool. I think it's important. You're beautifying neighborhoods, something that our communities greatly need. So I think, that along that path, and then you know, transforming that into being an author and sharing your experiences and history that way, it's top notch. So that's what we're here to do. And you're really fulfilling your spiritual path. So I think that's great. Shed some light, Chris, on us for the importance of self-reflection and personal growth in the process of transformation. And how
Wow.
have those elements helped to guide your path to success?
Personally, I think that's one of the only aspects of actually uh, complete growth, self-reflection. That's the only way you can actually, uh, so to speak, check yourself. You know, actually take note of not only where you are, but where you've come from and the things that you have to do to improve. So not only reflection, uh, but you know, just taking note. Like I said, taking note of the surroundings and seeing what you can do in those surroundings to better those surroundings. Uh, what your purpose is in life and how your purpose can affect in a positive way the community, the family structure first, your family first, and then the community. Uh, so yeah, I wouldn't have been where I am right now without self reflection.
Yeah, it's super important. It's super important to self-reflect, and that way you can kind of refine yourself, refine your actions, refine your experiences, refine the way you respond to things. Um, to shape it to a more positive aspect, and then make sure that you're really treating other people the way that you want to be treated, because at the end of the day, we're all one. So, you wouldn't want someone to treat you in a negative way. That's why we shouldn't do that to other people, because you treating someone else in a negative way is like you doing that to yourself at the end of
Yeah,
the day. So, I think that's important.
right,
Definitely an
right.
important self-reflection is definitely an important you know, element to transformation and transmuting energy.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. That's self reflection. I would incorporate that. I would tie that in with meditation as well. I don't
Mhm.
know if some of you viewers how they feel about well, I know you feel very strongly about your spiritual walk, but
Mhm.
like I said, tying that in, um, yeah, you can't go wrong.
Right. I think it's necessary. It's like it's almost like if you don't do anything else, at least at the end of your day when you guys go home, and you're like laying down, even even right before you go to sleep is probably the best time too. Self-reflect on your day, self-reflect on the way that you interacted with people. Were they
Yeah.
positive interactions? Were they negative interactions? If they were negative, what led you to be negative in that interaction? And then work on those things. You know what I mean? So that's the best that we can do to create the best version of ourselves moving forward day by day. So very important. Um, so let's get back into these questions here. Given the
Okay.
rapid cultural shifts that we've witnessed in recent years, uh, to say the least, what changes have you observed that particularly stand out to you, and how do you address these changes in your work?
Wow. Well, since my work is, as far as iconic properties, is customer based, um, kind of springboarding off the last question you asked. You try to be the best that you can be and shed light. Be good to people. Be kind. What some people call pay it forward.
Mhm,
Because there are a lot of people out here hurting. There's a lot of people, walking around with pain that you would never understand or imagine. And just giving kindness, giving love, giving care, giving grace when needed, um, but in a manner that allows you and that person to not only grow but be healed at the same time.
mhm,
I do incorporate that with what I do, what I push, and what I write about.
mhm. So that's excellent. So as a author and a entrepreneur, what message do you hope to impart on your listeners, and your readership, and those who may be navigating through their own hardships and setbacks in life?
Uh, Anything is possible if you set your mind to it. You can do it. I believe that, like you said, with self-reflection, I incorporated meditation, just that channeling of whatever spiritual belief you have in your own energy. I believe you can reach whatever heights you want to reach.
That's great. That's dope.
Real
That's dope. So
simple.
looking ahead, Chris, what cultural trends or movements are you most excited about? And which ones are you least excited about?
Wow. Uh, the cultural trend, and I don't want to be a shock. The cultural trend of making manhood good again. I think
Making men again.
yes,
And that's not a shot
because
to anybody. That's not a shot to anybody. I
well,
think that's, go ahead.
we get a lot of pushback. We get a lot of
Yes.
pushback with various views that we share, and you and I have chatted, behind the scenes on some things, and it's amazing how so many cannot see what is so prevalent. We just touched on not too long ago, like, family structure 20, 30, 40 years ago, uh, how the family structure was. And there was no pushback with when Pop was in the house, when Mom was in the house. There was no, oh, I'm struggling, and all of these things. Like, you would struggle together. This is my woman until death do us part, and that's my man until death do us part. Not until his feet stink and I want to divorce and take half of what he has. And everybody in the household now is broken. So
Mhm,
yeah, making the trend that manhood is good. The
mhm.
thing that I'm not so happy about, oh my God, there's a lot. Uh, I would say how the educational system is trending downward. I do travel and I travel a lot, and witnessing different cultures and communities and the togetherness there, the education which ties into the togetherness, it's lacking here. And us as, the community, the Black Americans, we really need to hunker down and not be self serving and self fulfilling, but be community. serving, community filling, because we're losing and we're losing bad. If you ever travel, you can just look and see other communities are flourishing. We're falling behind, and we have no excuse.
So eloquently stated. I think that is amazing. That's a great point. I agree with it 100%. I couldn't have said it better myself. And yeah, we have had our back conversations, and obviously that's what this channel, is pretty much about, is the Black Education Empowers True Vision, and making sure that we're educating ourselves and really putting our best foot forward for the community, for our families, for ourselves first, then for our families, then for our communities. Doing
Absolutely.
those things, we can reach cultural ascension and pick ourselves back up and really, do better as a community and really start, producing the respect that we deserve. You know, as the standpoint of where we are in the world. We
Yeah.
deserve a lot better than what we're getting. We deserve a lot better than what we treat each other. And it really starts there. So it's really, it's really starts with you, how you treat yourself. You got to love yourself, and we got to love ourselves first. That way, once you start loving yourself and you realize that we're all one, you're going to love your brother,
Yeah.
and you're going to give them that grace, and you're going to say, hey, if that was me, I would need that grace, so let me give my brother that grace. So I think it kind of really just starts there. It's the relationship building with ourselves first, and then extending that throughout our families, recreating our family unit with the mother, the father, in the household with the child, and then really, elevating us to a point where we're outputting that when we go out into the community and we do community based things, building our own institutions, building our own schools, our own
Yeah.
hospitals, our own resource centers and all that kind of stuff. So that's really, to me, what it boils down to. And that's the work that we all should be focusing on. From my standpoint, instead of focusing on too much of the partying, the gossiping, and the entertainment, and kind of the
Yeah.
BSing. So,
Yeah.
it's kind of, you know, it comes full circle to how you and I are here today, growing up together, on the main line. And, you've gone through your trials and tribulations as a man, as a black man coming up. And my journey a little different as a black woman coming up.
Yeah.
So it just really shows a testament to how our community can flourish and what we can be. And that's why I want to thank you so much for the work you're doing, for the transformation that you've done, transmuting that negative energy, and that negative experience, and transmuting it into a positive, creative output that's helping the community, that's helping yourself, and it's helping the community. So,
Yeah.
again, kudos to you. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing. And
Thank
keep on down that path. Keep on doing what you're doing. I can't wait for your other books to come out.
you.
Let
Yeah.
me share the screen of the book, because guys, I want you to guys go get Chris's book. It's called Hidden in the Shadows. It's available on Amazon. So here, let me share the screen and show you guys where you can go get the book, and then I'll put the link in the chat. Hopefully you guys can see this, right? Let me see if I can make this big. There we go. Oh, hold on, it's not up there. All right, guys, this is what it looks like. I'm going to put the let me pull it down so I
Yeah.
can put this in the chat. Okay, I'm going to put the link in the chat to where you guys can go support the book. Chris, anything else? Guys, follow him. He's on Instagram, at black underscore Tony underscore Stark 21. Is there anywhere else you want them to follow you, or any other social media links that you want to give out?
My Instagram, I am on TikTok. The book itself, me as an author, I'm on TikTok, Facebook. But the one more quick point.
Sure,
When
go
you
ahead.
ask what other trends are absolutely making me, happy, looking at how the reemergence of STEM field is being emphasized. Just in case people aren't really paying attention, we're going through a financial crisis. and the heavy hitting fields that you can get into and focus on, STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. There are, especially in the Black institutions, there is a heavy push for those that want to get in STEM field. Brothers, sisters, if you feel like you can take on that challenge and pick up the mantle, please jump into that. You will not be disappointed.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent point, the STEM field. And there's plenty of people who have different programs and all that kind of stuff like that, where you
Mhm.
can get into to different STEM programs. There's a lot of grants out there and all that for our people. So definitely take advantage of that. This has been great, Chris. I want to just
Yeah.
really again thank you so much for coming on. Everybody, please. The link to the book is in the chat. Make sure you guys go check that out. Get his book, support this brother, follow him on Instagram, ask him questions, whatever you guys need to do. I want to thank you so much for being on our season 2 premiere of Cultural Reflections podcast. Season 2, of course, episode 7. It wouldn't be more fitting not to have a 7 person gracing the podcast with me, a 2 person today. So, that's the universe at work. We love it and we appreciate it so much. Any other final words from you, Chris, before we end?
I just really appreciate you, your work. I appreciate you allowing me here to shed light on the book and, some light on who I am as a person. I really appreciate it, and I can't wait to come back.
Of course, come back, especially when you get your other book. When it's ready to release, we want you to come back and talk about that book.
Yeah.
And even before then, anytime you want to come back, if you guys are doing something at Iconic Properties and you want to come promote it, just come back. We can do something for that or something short. So again, thank you guys so much for joining. I want to thank everyone that joined us live today, everyone that was in the comments. And if you're joining us on a rebroadcast, thank you so much for joining us on Cultural Reflections podcast, where we illuminate the positive aspects of the people and the stories and experiences in our culture. Thank you so much. Make sure you join us next week, Sunday, the 29th, for a special show about the moon. So thank you so much. Have a great one. Peace.